Today, the life scenario you're about to experience is the life of an F1 champion. Right now, you're just a go-karting kid. At 8 years old, you wanted a go-kart, didn't you? You needed it. On a Saturday morning, your father drove you to a dusty racetrack on the outskirts of Valencia. The go-kart smelled of burnt rubber and stale fuel. The used kart seat was too big. Your feet barely reached the pedals, but you still drove it out. First turn. You spun out, second lap, another spin. By the 7th lap, you were no longer spinning out of control. By the end of the day, you were the fastest kid on the track. The coach didn't say much. He just looked at your father and nodded. That single nod drained everything from your family. A new set of tires, 180 euros. Race entry fee, 300 euros for a weekend. Because you grew taller, a new helmet was needed. You grew taller again, so another new racing suit. Your mom started working overtime on weekends. Your dad often skipped dinner. Your sister stopped going to summer camp. No one complained, and no one had the right to. At 9, your first regional race in Ningxia. You felt like you were the champion. Then you saw the boy next to you on the podium. He arrived in a professional transporter. You came in an old family car, your cart strapped inside. That was the first time you realized something. Speed is free, but everything around it is ridiculously expensive. You became the regional champion. By 13, you had already won 3 regional championships. Your name was on banners at the local track. Everyone in town knew you. You didn't care about any of that. You only cared about the stopwatch. You moved up to national karting events. New rivals, new tracks, new kids. Their fathers owned companies, not repair shops. They had custom seats. They had data analysts and laptops. And full-time team mechanics. You only had your father and a toolbox he bought from a hardware store. In the wet qualifying session at Cellar, you were 0.4 seconds faster, with a 0.4 second lead. You beat those kids with full professional setups. Your data analysis sheet was a paper your father drew by hand. On the kitchen table. After the race, a man in a polo shirt and holding a briefcase walked over. He worked for a young driver selection program. He asked for your name and wrote it down. For the next 3 months, there was no word. Then a letter arrived. It wasn't an invitation. It was a test. 1 day, 1 track. 1 chance. 50 kids. 6 spots. You only slept 2 hours the night before. You clocked the fastest lap of the day. But the 6 spots went to 5 rich kids. And 1 foreign driver. Not you, you understood. Talent can open doors, but someone has to be willing to unlock them for you. You became an academy driver. At 15, an F4 team signed you to join their young driver academy. You moved to a city you'd never been to. You shared an apartment with 2 other academy drivers. 1 Romanian, 1 Japanese kid who spoke Spanish. Most nights you ate pasta. Sometimes you ate rice. Sim training starts at 7 a.m. Physical training starts at 6 a.m. On the first day, your coach told you, there are 12 drivers in this program. 4 will make it to F3, 2 will make it to F2, and 1 might make it to F1. Statistically speaking, it won't be you, prove them wrong. You didn't say anything. You wrote that sentence on tape and stuck it inside your helmet. An F4 car is nothing like a go-kart. Heavier, faster, louder, and more unforgiving. Your first race weekend, you qualified 12th and finished 8th in the race. Your teammate qualified 3rd. The academy sent an evaluation. Still room for improvement. Focus on tire management. Tendency to overdrive in the second stint. You read it 17 times. Mid-season, you qualified 4th. At the final race, you reached the podium for the first time. 2nd place, but 2nd place felt like a loss. But the academy's technical director pulled you aside after the podium. He said for words, you'll be back next year. You nodded. You didn't celebrate the podium. You celebrated those for words instead. You became an F3 driver. At 17, F3's real tracks. Spa, Monza, Silverstone, tracks you'd only seen on screen. The first time you took Eau Rouge at Spa flat out. Before you even reached the corner, your hands were shaking. Then you made it through smoothly. In 3 seconds, something inside you changed forever. First race of the season, you qualified 5th. Your teammate, a Monaco kid, whose father once raced in F2, qualified 2nd. For the race, the team gave him upgraded parts. They told you it was a logistics issue. You finished 4th in the race. Your teammate retired due to a mechanical failure. After that, those logistics issues never reappeared. Mid-season, the championship leader was a 19-year-old Finn with cold eyes. He had 3 more years of experience than you. He pushed you off the track at Mugello. It was ruled a racing incident, no penalty. You lost a potential podium. He gained 3 more points on you in the standings. After the race, he found you in the paddock. No cameras, no technicians, just him. Good race. He said he meant it. You shook his hand. You meant it too. The season ended. You were 3rd in the standings, not 1st. But 3 F2 teams had you on their shortlist. You understood that in racing, who notices you, and when they notice you, is as important as how well you perform. You became an F2 title contender. At 19, F2 was just 1 step away from an F1 seat. The cars now had real downforce, real speed, hitting 310 kilometers per hour on the Baku Straight. The steering wheel vibrated in your hands, as if it would fall apart at any moment, but nothing did. This was the feeling of true speed. Your race engineer was a silent Englishman named Marcus. He communicated only with data and silence. You learned to read both. This year's title fight was exceptionally brutal. In the final 3 races, 4 drivers were within 12 points. You were one of them. With 4 laps left in the penultimate race, you were in the lead. The safety car is deployed. The pit window opens. Marcus calls you into the pits. You hesitate for a second on the radio. Just 1 second and you pit. You put on new tires. Back on track. You're 3rd, pushing hard. You overtake 1 car, then another. You cross the finish line first, but the race officials penalize you. You gain 5 seconds during the safety car period. With the time penalty, you drop to 3rd. 3rd in points, 3rd in the standings. During the review, Marcus says nothing. He closes his laptop. He looks at you. Come back next week. Execute a bit better. You nod. It's the season finale. You start from pole and win the race. You finish 2nd in the championship by 4 points. 4 points. Now, 3 F1 teams are looking at your data. You understand now. In F2, you're not just racing other drivers. You're auditioning. You become an F1 rookie. At 21, your name is printed on an F1 car. Not a test driver. Not a reserve driver. Your name is on the car itself, on the pit wall, and on the pass around your neck. Preseason testing in Bahrain. The first time you sit in the cockpit, the canopy closes, even just idling. The roar vibrates in your chest, like a second heartbeat. Your race engineer is a German woman. Her name is Petra. On the radio, she tells you to check the system. You've forgotten the procedure. You practiced it 200 times in the simulator, but you still forgot. She waits, you remember. You repeat it back. She continues working, as if nothing happened. Your first race weekend. You qualified 14th. Your teammate, a 3-time race winner, with 8 years of F1 experience, qualified 6th. You finished 12th in the race. Both cars scored points. The team principal shakes your hand in the pit lane. A firm handshake. The media always wants to compare you to your teammate. Every press conference, every interview. How does it feel to be 12 places behind in qualifying? Do you think you can close the gap? Is the car for a rookie too complex? You smile, you avoid the question. Someone taught you how to do it. Race 8. You qualify 10th. Race 12, you score your first points. 8th place. The team gets 7 seconds of footage in the race highlights. You watch it 100 times. You understand that in F1, your most glorious day is just filler footage for others. You've become a consistent driver. At 24, you've already competed for 3 seasons. No longer a rookie. No longer a fresh topic. You're the one with expectations. Your contract was renewed, but very quietly. No headlines. No official announcement. Just a Tuesday afternoon, sent to your man. Ager as a PDF. Now you consistently score points and occasionally reach the podium. Last season at Interlagos, you won a race in mixed weather conditions. Tactical weather. The safety car actually fit perfectly. For those 23 laps, you were the fastest person on Earth. You still remember those 23 laps. But the team is restructuring. A new technical director, new ideas, new aerodynamic concepts. But they won't be on the car until next year. This season's car is slow. It's not undrivable. It's just the 7th fastest car on the grid. Maybe 8th on the worst tracks. You push its performance to the absolute limit. The engineers know it. The data proves it, and other engineers in the paddock know it too. But the cameras only follow the cars ahead. Your teammate is 20. On a multi-year junior contract. Fast and fearless. Completely unaffected by pressure. Because he hasn't felt real pressure yet. The team shows your telemetry data side by side. In the first sector, you're faster, the second sector is even. In the third sector, he's 0.3 seconds quicker. They don't tell you what this means for your seat next year. They don't need to. You understand now. Consistency keeps you in the car. But speed is what keeps your seat. You become a Grand Prix winner. At 27 with a new team. A better car, this transfer took 2 years to negotiate. The contract even included performance clauses, meaning if you didn't score a certain number of points by August, the contract option would expire. You still signed it. The car is fast, really fast. On a good Saturday, you can be in the top 3. Opening race in Melbourne. You qualify second. On the pre-race warm-up lap, you glance left at the podium structure still being assembled. You look away too soon. It's lap 48. 2 pit stops done. The final lap, battling a Red Bull driver in the last sector. You cross the line first. The engineer's voice cracks over the radio. The team principal is crying in the pit lane. You don't cry, you're at the press conference. Someone asked if this proved the value of your entire career. You looked at them. You thought of the karting track in Valencia. Your family strapping down the cart. Your mother working overtime on weekends. That piece of tape inside your helmet, which confirmed your direction. You said the real proof was yet to come. That season, you won 3 more races, finishing 4th in the annual standings. Your team, based on your feedback, built the car for the next year. You realized winning a single race wouldn't give you certainty. It gave you something heavier. The expectation of becoming a championship contender. 29 years old, September. 4 races left. You were second in the standings, 11 points behind. The paddock atmosphere changed. Cameras followed your every move. The questions changed too. No longer if, but when, no longer how. But why not yet? Sleep became a luxury for others. You watched race videos until 1 a.m. every night. Tire wear by section. Opponents breaking points in corners. Your fitness coach told you to rest. You said just 1 more lap. In the Japanese race, you started on pole, leading every lap. You won by a 14-second margin. The gap narrowed to 2 points. Qatar Grand Prix, a pit stop cost you 9 seconds. You finished 5th. Your rival won. The gap returned to 9 points. 2 races remained. After the Qatar race, you sat alone for 20 minutes. No one came in. They were told not to disturb you. You thought about giving up. Not giving up racing, but giving up this version of life. You carried the hopes of thousands with every lap. Then you stood up and went back to the data. In the penultimate race, you won and your rival finished 3rd. The final race, the last round. The championship would be decided on equal points. One afternoon would decide if your lifelong preparation for this moment paid off. Yet no amount of preparation could truly ready you for it. You became the world champion. At 29 in the last lap of the season, you were in 2nd place. Your opponent was ahead. Whoever finished higher would be the champion. 14 corners left. Your tires were for laps older than his. Your engineer told you the gap was 1.8 seconds. It was shrinking, but not fast enough. 12 corners. You found something. It wasn't in the car. It was in yourself. A calmness you'd never experienced. Not aggression. It was clarity. You pushed the car to its limit. And then, just a little bit beyond, 9 corners. The gap was 0.9 seconds. 6 corners. You were close enough to see his rear wing distorting under pressure. 3 corners. You forced an overtake on the inside of the final chicane. He defended, but you held your line. You passed him. You crossed the finish line first. The radio erupted. Engineers were screaming. You couldn't make out the words. The crowd's roar became a solid wall. You felt nothing. You were just breathing. On the cool-down lap. Alone on the track under the setting sun. You allowed yourself to think of one thing. That go-kart kid from Valencia had made it to the podium and heard your country's anthem play. The trophy is more alluring than you'd imagined. Later, an internal debrief. The technical director shows you next year's car. Design concept. Faster lap times. Higher expectations. There's a clause in your contract to defend the title. Otherwise, you'll renegotiate. You realize that winning the championship didn't end the story. It started a new one. The stakes are higher. The margin for error lower. You become the defending champion. You're 30 now. Both your car and you have become focal points. All the teams have been studying your data all winter. Your braking points. Your fuel levels, radio comms. It's all public. Every weakness you showed last year was recorded, analyzed, and targeted. New rules. They hit your car harder than others. The chief aerodynamicist quietly tells you this a week before the March season quietly tells you this. You qualify third. Your new teammate is 22. Ambitious. Astonishingly fast in the wet. He qualifies second. Tactical errors in the race disrupt your rhythm. You finish fifth. Headlines champion. Struggles in season opener. You glance at it. Then place your phone face down on the table. The team atmosphere is tense. Manufacturers' championship points are slipping away. Budget decisions are being made based on results you haven't delivered yet. The Monaco race. You fight for every inch. This track is almost impossible to overtake. You steadily control every lap. For the last 8 laps, you keep the gap at 0.44 seconds, while also saving your tires. Pure racing artistry. No luck involved. No safety car gifts. The pit engineers applauded as you crossed the finish line. A veteran racer, 22 years in the sport, met your gaze through his visor and gave a nod. It was exactly like the nod your first coach gave your father on the dusty Valencia track all those years ago. You didn't cry. You were long past that stage. You now understood what winning truly meant. It wasn't about holding onto what you'd achieved, but proving it was never a fluke. You became a seasoned veteran. By 35, you'd already won 2 world championships. A third was just out of reach, failing by 6 points in Abu Dhabi. Your rival's car was faster, and his luck was better. You took second place, shaking his hand on the podium. You meant it. Some years, racing gives you everything. Other years, it gives you nothing. You learn to navigate both states. The young drivers emerging now are excellent. Some of them grew up watching you win championships. One 18-year-old Brazilian kid, incredibly fast, told you in the Monza paddock that you were why he started karting. You signed the inside of his helmet, where no one would see. The team now had you in a different role. On non-race weekends, you participated in R&D and technical guidance 5-hour feedback sessions. Your experience cost the team nothing extra, yet provided tens of millions in R&D guidance. But by Saturday qualifying, you could still feel it. The calm before a flying lap. The silence within your helmet. The world reduced to corners, breaking points, and the absolute presence at Monza. You qualified 6th. The young Brazilian qualified 2nd. After qualifying, he asked what you felt in the Lesmo corners. You told him everything, holding nothing back. You understood that with everything you'd learned throughout your life, the most valuable thing you could do was to pass it on. You entered your final season. At 37 in February, you announced this would be your last year. The decision wasn't made by the team. It was your own decision, made one Tuesday in a hospital, sitting at the dining table in your Geneva home. Looking at the race-filled calendar and the familiar view outside your window, the ordinary sky, you were absolutely certain you were ready to stop. Not because you'd lost your speed. You were fastest overall on day 2 of preseason testing, but because you'd found something more daunting than any track, more daunting than any corner. Calm, your final season felt strange. Every circuit carried the weight of a last time. The last time at Zero Road. The last time through the Monaco tunnel. The last time at Monza. Hearing 20,000 people cheer for you. You won 2 races, finishing 6th in the championship standings. At the season finale in Abu Dhabi, as the sun set, The city lights outside the barriers glittered. You slowly completed your warm-up lap. Slower than necessary. You looked at the track barriers, at the grandstands, at those who had traveled
see your
great
final
distances. Lights out and you're off. You drove like it was your very first race. You finished fourth. On the cool-down lap, your engineer asked
To the
if you
team
wanted
over
to
the
say
radio.
anything. You thought for a long time. You told them, "Everyone, this was the only thing I ever wanted to do with my life, and I did it." Not many people get to be this lucky. The pit wall was silent for 3 seconds. Then someone started to clap. Soon, everyone was applauding. After you took off your helmet. At 38, his helmet sits on a shelf. Not sealed away in a glass case, placed on a shelf within easy reach. Some mornings, he'll be in a quiet room, far from the paddock's buzz, putting it on for just a second. He works as a consultant for a team, mentoring to young drivers. He commentates on 3 races a year, turning down the other 17, because he has the right to choose. Someone asks him when his ambition faded. He tells them the truth. It never disappears. It just finds new soil for ambition to grow. On a karting track on the outskirts of Valencia. Not the same one from back then, but close enough. A father and his 8-year-old son, stepping out of a used cart. The boy's helmet is too big. His feet barely reach the pedals. He stands watching from outside the pit lane barrier. He says nothing, nor does he need to. He used to be that child. Everything that happened afterward was merely the long, beautiful, and cruel answer given to the question asked by the child. That Saturday morning, with trembling hands in borrowed gear, that question was simple. What if I'm fast enough? And it turns out he really could.